Hare Krishna. Good morning. Om. Can you hear me?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jamadhire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devakinandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Harihi Om. So today we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Canto 5, Chapter 25. I think this would be the last chapter that we will discuss, and then we will move into the sixth canto. So let me share my screen and let's see. Yeah. Maybe Suritesh Prabhu, you be able to read this chapter?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, do confirm if you see it.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thanks. Shall I start, Prabhuji? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said to Maharaj Parikshit, "My dear king, approximately 240,000 miles beneath the planet Patala lives another incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the expansion of Lord Vishnu, known as Lord Ananta or Lord Sankarsana. He is always in the transcendental position, but because he is worshipped by Lord Shiva, the deity of Tamoguna or darkness, he is sometimes called as Tamasi. Lord Ananta is predominating deity of the material mode of ignorance as well as false ego of all conditioned souls. When a conditioned living being thinks, I am the enjoyer and this world is meant to be enjoyed by me, this conception of life is dictated by him to him by Sankarsana. Thus, the mundane conditioned soul thinks himself the Supreme Lord. Sukadeva Goswami continued, this great universe situated on one of the Lord Anantadeva's thousands of foots appears just like a white mustard seed. In this it is infinitesimal compared to the hood of Lord Ananta. At the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadeva desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Then from between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra carrying a trident. This Rudra, who is known as Sankarsana, is embodiment of 11 Rudras or incarnation of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. The pink, transparent toenails on the Lord's lotus feet are exactly like valuable gems polished to a meter finish. When the unalloyed devotees and the leaders of the snakes offer their obeisances to Lord Sankarsana with great devotion, they become very joyful upon seeing their own beautiful faces reflected in his toenails. Their cheeks are decorated with glittering earrings, and the beauty of their faces is extremely pleasing to see. Prabhuji, can you scroll down? Thank you. Lord Ananta's arms are attractively long, beautiful, decorated with bangles, and completely spiritual. They are white, and so they appear like silver columns. When the beautiful princesses of the Serpent Kings, hoping for the Lord's auspicious blessing, smear his arms with akuru pulp, sandalwood pulp, and kunkuma, the touch of his limbs awakens lusty desires within them. Understanding their minds, the Lord looks at the princesses with a merciful smile, and they become bashful, realizing that he knows their desires. Then they smile beautifully, look upon the Lord's lotus face, which is beautified by reddish eyes, rolling slightly from intoxication and delighted by the love for his devotees. Lord Sankarsana is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities. and thus he is known as Anantadeva. He is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the welfare of all living entities within the material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. Sukadeva Goswami continued, the demigods, the demons, the Uragas, serpentine demigods, the Siddhas, the Gandharvas, the Vidyadharas, and many highly elevated sages constantly offer prayers to the Lord. Because he is intoxicated, the Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes, appearing like flowers in full bloom, move to and fro. He pleases his personal associates, the heads of demigods, by the sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring, he holds a claw on his back with his two beautiful and well constructed hands. Appearing as white as heavenly King Indra, he wears a golden belt around his waist and Vaijayanti garland of fresh tulsi blossoms around his neck. Bees intoxicated by the honey-like fragrance of tulsi flowers hum very sweetly around the garland, which thus becomes more and more beautiful. In this way, Lord enjoys his very magnanimous pastimes. If the persons who are very serious about being liberated from material life hear the glories of Anantadeva from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession, and if they always meditate upon Sankarsana, the Lord enters the cores of their hearts, vanquishes all the dirty contamination of material modes of nature, and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tied tightly since the time immemorial by the desire to dominate material nature through fruitive activities. Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadeva in his father's assembly. There he sings blissful verses of his own composition, accompanied by his stringed instrument or a celestial singer known as Tumburu. By his glance, the Supreme Personality of Godhead enables the modes of material nature to act as the causes of the universal creation, maintenance, and destruction. The Super Soul is unlimited and beginningless, and although he is one, he is manifested himself in many forms. How can human society understand the ways of the Supreme? This manifestation of subtle and gross matter exists within the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of causeless mercy towards devotees, he exhibits various forms which are all transcendental. The Supreme Lord is most liberal and he possesses all mystic power. To conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts, he appears in different incarnations and manifests many pastimes. Thank you, Prabhu. Even if he be distressed or degraded, any person who chants the holy name of Lord, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, is immediately purified. Even if he chants the Lord's name jokingly or by chance, and anyone who hears him from he are freed from all the sins. Therefore, how can anyone seeking disentanglement from the material clutches avoid chanting the name of Lord Sesha, of whom everyone should one take shelter? Because the Lord is unlimited, no one can estimate his power. This entire universe, filled with its many great mountains, rivers, oceans, trees, and living entities, is resisting just like an atom on one of his many thousands of hoods. Is there anyone, even with thousands of tongues, who can describe his glories? There is no end to the great and glorious qualities of that powerful Lord Anantadeva. Indeed, his prowess is unlimited, though self-sufficient, he himself is support of everything. He resides beneath lower planetary systems and easily sustains the entire universe. My dear king, as I heard of it from my spiritual master, I have fully described to you the creation of this material world according to the fruitful activities and desires of the conditioned souls. Those conditioned souls who are full of material desires achieve various situations in different planetary systems, and in this way they live within the material creation. My dear king, I have thus described how people generally act according to their different desires, and as a result, get different types of bodies in the higher or lower planets. You inquired of these things from me, and I have explained to you whatever I have heard from the authorities. What shall I speak of now? Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I think you are muted. We are not able to hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Suritesh Prabhu. You can
Thank you,
hear me
Prabhuji.
now?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah, very nice. Thanks for reading. And how did you find it?
It's good knowledge, Prabhuji. At least most of the things I didn't know, so it was new to me
Okay. Yeah.
about Anantadeva. And
Okay. Yeah. So in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Canto, 5.19, we covered 5.18. 18 is about how the residents of Jambudvipa worship the Lord. Hmm. Then there is a description of, let me quickly, we will not go into any of these chapters because first of all, I'm not expert in this, so it's better to actually approach a person. If someone has interest in this area, they should definitely approach a right hmm, devotee. It describes about the island of Jambudvipa, hmm, where it tells about the mountains, rivers, inhabitants of Bharatavarsha, and then the association of devotees leads liberation. So those are still, it's not like, okay, these are too much dry and non-devotional. No, there's a lot of description about how the Lord is worshipped in these different varshas. Hmm. The demigods are glorify the Bharatavarsha. The birth there is suitable for worshipping Mukunda. Hmm. What pious acts did these human beings perform? Was the Lord pleased with them at that they attained birth in Bharatavarsha? This Bharatvarsha is very special. It's glorified. Of course, a question may come, what is this Bharatavarsha? So one may come and say it is India and it is divided by Indus. And no, we are talking about Bharatavarsha based on Bhagavatam, where Bhumandala, where there is this Jambudvipa, where there is Bharatavarsha. So there is a uh, clear description about that. We demigods cannot only aspire to achieve human birth there and execute devotional service to Mukunda. Uh, yeah, this is what the Swargavasis, yeah, who are the denizens of heavens, they are saying. Why? Because they say, Kim dushkarer na krutubhis tapo vriter. Hmm? What is the use of performing difficult sacrifices, vows of austerity, danadivir va dyujayena falgunam? And what is the use and of performing acts of charity on earth and attaining temporary residence in heavens? न यत्र नारायण पाद पंकज स्मृति pramushtati sayendriyotsavat. It says, in heaven there is no remembrance of lotus feet of Narayan, and our memory is carried away by excessive enjoyment of senses. This is what it says, the heavenly people they are saying. And it says, uh, one kalpayushan sthana jayat punar bhavat. Even living for a kalpa in Brahmaloka, one must take birth again. Shenanu yasham bharata bhujayo varam. But even a moment's stay in Bharatavarsha is more valuable. Kshanena matyena kritam manushvinaha. Though life there is very short, people can elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. Sannyasasya samyanti abhayam padam hare. By fully surrendering to the lotus feet of the Lord. So, but of course, saying so, the heavenly denizens they say, but na yatra vaikunta katha sudha paga. But where there is a place where there is no glorification of the Lord, Vaikunta, Katha, no rivers of sweet topics about the Lord, na sadhavo bhagavata tadashraya, no devotees engaged in service on the banks of such river of piety, na yatra yagnesha maha mahat mahotsava, No festivals of Sankirtan Yajna to satisfy the Lord. Uh, Suresha Lokopi na Vai na Sevyatam. Such a place should not be accepted as residence, even if it is place of demigods. So it, in fact, Chaitanya Bhagavatam is saying that it is stated that it would be better to live perpetually crammed within the airtight bag of a mother's womb if one could at least remember the lotus feet of the Lord than to live in a place where there is no opportunity to remember his lotus feet. Huh? So here, anyway, as I said, this is in the fifth canto, 19th chapter. Every chapter still has a lot to offer, but for my limited capacity to appreciate the complex science that is mentioned here about the creation, that's why I skim through this particular phases of the chapters. So it said, the Lord gives his lotus feet to a devotee with material desires. uh, Satyam dishati artitam arthiho nuram. The Lord offers material objects to a devotee who requests for them. Even material objects the Lord can give. Naiv- Naivartado yat punar artita yat. uh, But he does it in such a way that the devotee will not ask for more benedictions again. स्वयं विधत्ते भजताम अनिच्छताम इच्छापिदानाम निजपाद पल्लवम. The Lord gives His own lotus feet, which includes all desirables, even to worshippers who do not aspire for them. And in conclusion, there is this, there says, may we take birth in Bharatvarsh as humans if we have any pious credits remaining. Thus we remember the lotus feet of the Lord who personally comes there and expands the good fortune of the people. So this is what the Devatas glorify the greatness of Bharatavarsha, and they're saying, may we take birth there. Hmm? Anyway, so that is what I wanted to just highlight from this chapter. I hope you are fine if I'm just going through these chapters to tell what is actually there in a very, very, very brief way. So then we go to the chapter 20, which tells about the structure, yeah, structure of the universe. Yeah, this structure is characteristics of six islands of Bhumandala, and it describes about the six Bhumandalas. They are um, yeah. Second. Yeah, we come to Anantadev shortly, but hmm. Yeah. So and then there is this island, Jambudvipa, Plakshadvipa, and Dvipa, as we know, is island and ocean around it. Yeah, in Jambudvipa is surrounded by salt water. Hmm. The rulers are Agnidra, Nabi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilavrata, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Bhadrashva, and Ketumala. This we have covered in the 18th chapter. Who is ruling which particular Varsha, that we covered. Then the next island is the island uh, Plaksha, and the ocean that is covering is sugarcane. Uh, and the rulers are Idma, Jihva, then the seven sons, Shiva, Yavasa, Subhadra, Shanta, Kshema, Amrita, and Abhaya. Then there is this Shalmali, Dvipa, which is covered by liquor. And the rulers are Yajnabahu, their seven sons. Then Kushadvipa is surrounded by clarified butter, by the ghee ocean. Then Krauncha Dvipa is covered by milky ocean. Shakha Dvipa is covered by yogurt, emulsified yogurt. Then Pushkara Dvipa is covered by sweet drinking water. Mm. So in that way, there is whole description about the islands, and what are the mountains, what are the rivers in them, what are the four castes that are in that. Yeah, one can go to 20th chapter if you want to study the structure of the universe. And then comes this Loka mountain, and then the golden land, and there is other descriptions. Uh, And then there is Aloka Varsha beyond this Loka mountain. I don't know if you can see this picture. I'll still show. Yeah, I'm reading from. So let me know if you are. Yeah, so it has to detect my face and then it has to see this. Yeah, maybe like this. So anyway, the detailed text is not there, but this is a visual effect structure of this Bhumandala. And there's this golden land which has the width, Loka mountain, Aloka Varsha, and what is the open space, what is the universal covering. So all this is described in Bhagavatam. And then there is the glorification of Surya. And then different names of Surya are given are Vairaja, which means the total material body for all living entities. Martanda means who entered the dull egg of the universe. Hiranyagarbha, he received his material body from Hiranyagarbha, Lord Brahma. So there is this glorification. The sun is in the middle of the universe. The sun is situated vertically in the area between Bhur Loka and Bhuvar Loka. The distance between sun and the circumference of the universe is 250 Mahayojanas. Anyway, these are the details. And because of the sun's presence, all living entities can see. Therefore, he is called Drig Ishvara. Thus, he is the eye and life of all living beings, of devatas, animals, humans, reptiles, and plants. Yeah. Then in the chapter 21, there is this description about the sun's movement under Supreme Lord's control, how everything is moving. And as part of that, it is said, thus, I have described Bhumandala with its dimensions and great characteristics. And there is this Antariksha, the space we see. A bean seed has two parts. We know, right? If you take a bean seed, it has two parts. Two parts, and one can understand the measurements of the upper part by seeing its lower part. Similarly, the dimensions of the Bhumandala, the surface of the lower part of the universe, that's what we have just very quickly went through in last chapters. um, the surface of the lower half of the universe, which consists of the Garbhodaka ocean and the lower planetary system, indicates the dimension of the upper half of the universe. The sky between the lower and upper. There is this, when we open a bean, then these are two halves. Yeah. So what is the lower is also the same size in the upper part. The sky between the lower and upper halves is called Antariksha or outer space. Hmm. The sun is situated in the middle of Antariksha. It is the hottest of all the planets, and by its radiation, it heats up and lights the three worlds. Situated in the middle of Antariksha means it is vertically situated above Pushkara Dvipa. Yeah. Anyway, then there is also description about what is Uttarayana and what is Dakshinayana. These one can know more when one is learning Vedic astrology. Yeah. So movements of sun through Mesha to Tula is mentioned, and the movements of sun from Tula to Mesha, this is what is the Dakshinayana. And then description of daily movements of the sun. The sun's path on Manasottara mountain. The sun travels over all sides of Manasottara mountain in a circle with a circumference of 95.1 Mahayojanas. On the top of Manasottara mountain are residents of four demigods in four directions. Uh, that goes further. There is anyway. I'll leave it to you if you can. There are some nice YouTube videos by I think Radhakant Prabhu. I don't know from someone from the UK. He is speaking about this chapters very nicely with all graphics. Here I'm only able to see the image of the graphic. If you can see, here is the Bhumandala. This is the Bhumandala. This is the sun. This is sun, and the distance is measured. Where is this Manasottara mountain? So these descriptions are there. You may have heard something. Have anyone heard Valike? Huh? Valikilas worship the sun god. 60,000 sages named Valikilas, each of size of a thumb, stay in front of the sun god and offer him eloquent prayers of glorification. Other sages, Gandharvas, Apsaras, Nagas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, and demigods form into groups and assuming different names each month, uh, continuously perform rituals to worship Lord Surya Deva, who has many names. The speed of sun's god chariot is mentioned in his orbit through Bhumandala. The sun god traverses a distance of 95 Mahayojanas at a speed of 2 kilo. Well, I mean, I'm just to see what is this, and 2 crossas in a moment. Anyway, so this is another description. And then comes 22, which is explaining about the orbits of the planets. Orbits of the planets, which mentions about the movement and the greatness of sun, the movement and greatness of moon, and how all the stars are moving. This is again goes more into astrology or astronomy, we can say. Um, Sukadev Goswami is saying, Parikshit Maharaj is asking question about clockwise and anti-clockwise movement. You have affirmed that sun travels around both Dhruvaloka and Sumeru, keeping them on its right. Yet at the same time, the sun facing the signs of zodiac keeps Sumeru and Dhruvaloka on its left. How can we reasonably accept this? There is this description which is mentioned again. I will leave it because it's technical, but we can see how this the Lord is moving and how um, months are according to sun god. Hmm? 1 month is 2 fortnights by lunar calculations, or time of for the sun to cover 2.25 constellations, and is a day and a night for Pitras. 2 months constitute a season. So all this description, it's not coming from somewhere that someone has, what do you call this? People have this, okay. Um, Sometimes people may challenge, right? Hey, if someone says east is in this direction, people may say, for your convenience, you may have said this east. I can say it as west. No, it is having its own source and reference from the scriptures. And then why I went through this small brief is actually to understand. Um, in this next chapter, there is a mention about Dhruvaloka. Dhruvaloka, and in fact, Dhruvaloka is the starting is mentioned as just reading. Above the Saptarshis is Dhruvaloka. Above the planet of seven sages is the abode of Lord Vishnu. I'm just seeing how he's getting. What is speciality of Dhruvaloka? How do planet stars rotate around the pole star? It is, in fact, yeah, the time is also in the control of Dhruva. I'm just seeing where is that? Mm, no, it should be in the beginning. I'll just try. Above the Saptarishis is Dhruvaloka, where Dhruva remains until end of the Kalpa. Circumambulating him are Agni, Indra, Prajapati, Kashyapa, and Dharma with respect. The pole star is the pivot of all luminaries. This star, established by the Lord, is the central pivot of all the stars and planets. The unsleeping, invisible, most powerful time factor, more powerful time factor causes these luminaries to revolve around the pole star without cessation, which means this time factor is actually the energy is controlled by Dhruva Lokam, and it is said in the next verse, how do the planets and stars rotate around the pole star? Just as a bull yogged together and tied to a central post, like that. And then, how do they remain in the orbit? Just as clouds or eagles, controlled by the wind and pushed by the karma, move about in the sky, so the planets supported by matter and the Lord and moving by their past karmas do not fall to the ground. But I'm still looking a clear point where it says that though the Lord has given the time factor in the hands of Dhruva, it is in fact the Lord. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, yeah, it's there. Maybe this is the body of Shishumara. What happens is in the Dhruvaloka, um, some describe the zodiac belt. All the zodiac, whatever is mentioned, belt, the great machine consisting of stars, planets, to have the form of a dolphin. That's why we may have heard Shishumara used for worshipping Vasudeva in meditation. And there is a description how his form looks like in this whole constellation when it falls on the ocean. The shadow of it looks like a dolphin, and everyone seeing this as the Lord, they worship him. And that's why the mantras to meditate is the body of Shishumara should be considered the external form of Lord Vishnu, composed of all devatas. Morning, noon, and evening one should silently observe this form and worship him with the mantras. My obeisances unto you, who have assumed the form of time, the resting place of all planets, the master of all demigods, and I meditate. Anyway. Then we are coming to 24th, is also, I think yesterday I have posted in our group. Uh, oh, I didn't post the important part. I have just mentioned who is a demigod, no? But that I picked it from this fifth canto, 24th chapter, verse number 8. And before that, there is nice description about planets below the sun and above the earth, and also the planets below the earth. This chapter can give us some details like we may have heard what is this Rahu, Siddha Loka, Chanar Loka, Vidyadhar Loka, Antariksha. This is what is described. Rahu is, let me, I have opened it. Yeah, yeah. So Rahu is 10 thousand yojanas. How many? 10,000 Uh, this is coming in the fifth canto, 24th chapter, verse 1, where it says that, my dear king, some historians, speakers of Purana say that 10,000 yojanas below the sun is the planet known as Rahu. Uh, and Rahu is the son of Simhika. Although the most abominable of all asuras has achieved that position by Lord's grace. How could Rahu come to that place? Of course, that we don't have an elaborate summary here, but there is this explanation given that Shukadeva Goswami is saying that I am going to explain that later. Later, I shall speak further about him. This comes in Mohini Murti. When we are describing in the eighth canto, that's where we go through this. Then the sun globe, which is a source of heat, extends for 10,000 yojanas. The moon extends for 20,000 yojanas. Rahu extends for 30,000 yojanas. Hmm? So we are talking about when we are telling 10,000 yojanas, 10,000 is 80,000. No, uh, one yojana is 8 miles. So 10,000 yojanas means 80,000 miles is the sun globe, the size. And then there is this moon which is double of it, and Rahu is triple of that. Formerly, when nectar was being distributed, Rahu tried to create dissension between the sun and the moon by interposing him between them. Rahu is inimical towards both the sun and moon, and therefore he always tries to cover the sunshine and moonshine on the dark moon day and full moon day. We know this eclipse, right? Whatever we are calling, this is in the third verse. It is mentioned after hearing from the sun and moon god about Rahu's attack. What happened is the Lord, who is very, very favorable to the devotees. I think this is what in the 5:24:3 you can read that Lord always is so merciful and favorable to the demigods who are also devotees or mostly godly. The Lord has released Sudarshan Chakra. The Sudarshan Chakra is the Lord's most beloved um devotee and is favored by the Lord. The intense heat of its effulgence, meant for killing non Vaishnavas, is unbearable to Rahu, and he therefore flees in fear of it. During the time Rahu disturbs the sun or moon, there occurs what people commonly know as an eclipse. So this is what is described. what happens, yeah, that's why we may see, right, there are so many restrictions when eclipse come and what not. It is coming in the purport Prabhupada gives. Although Rahu attempts to attack both the sun and moon, they are protected by Lord Vishnu. Being very afraid of Lord Vishnu's chakra, Rahu cannot stay for more than muhurta, which is 48 minutes. The phenomenon that occurs when Rahu blocks the light of the sun or moon is called an eclipse. The attempts of the scientists of this earth to go to the moon is a demonic as Rahu's attack. Of course, their attempts will be failures because no one can enter the moon or sun so easily. Like the attack of Rahu, such attempts will be certainly failure. Anyway, if someone has questions, yeah, reach out to me later. Yeah, to whatever extent I can tell that I know little, I will definitely say. And then below this Rahu Graha, mm, so Sun, Moon, and then Rahu Graha, and below Graha is Vidyadhara Loka, and beneath that is the Chanara Loka, and beneath that is Siddha Loka. All this is in the Antariksha, in the that middle space, are the places of enjoyments for yakshas, rakshasas, pisachas, ghosts, and so on. Antariksha extends as far as the wind blows and the clouds float in the sky. Huh? This is what, yeah, just imagine yourself where there is this clouds which is literally in the middle of the whole creation. Above this, there is no more air. Mm. Next, below the abodes of Yakshas and Rakshasas, uh, by a distance of 100 yojanas, is the planet Earth. Here we are talking about the limits of the Bhumandala. Bhumandala is 100 yojanas below the abode of Yakshas and Rakshasas. Its upper limits extend as high as swans, hawks, eagles, and similar large birds can fly. Uh, this describes the upper limit of Bhur Loka. Hmm. This is what is mentioned. And then it goes further, the opulence of what is called Bilasvarga. I think we came across, I have explained about it, but just for completeness, I'll just present it here again. My dear king, beneath this earth are seven other planets known as Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. I have already explained the situation of the planetary system of Earth. The width and length of seven lower planetary systems are calculated to be exactly the same as those of Earth. So all these are same. In these seven planetary systems, which are also known as uh, subterranean heaven, Bila Swarga, there are very beautiful houses, gardens, and places of sense enjoyment, which are even more opulent than those in the higher planets, because because the demons have a very high standard of sensual pleasure, wealth, and influence. Most of the residents of these places, who are known as Daityas, Danavas, and Nagas, live as householders. Huh? So, anyway, there is further description about this Bilasvarga. I think in one context I mentioned that one who has gone to the real Svargaloka, and after enjoying, when there is still some more piety that they have to enjoy, then they come to this material world, they go to this Bilasvarga. That's why it's also called Bilasvarga, and also a place where you have more source for enjoyment. It is said, my dear king, in the imitation heaven known as Bilasvarga, there is a great demon named Maya Danava, hmm, who is an expert artist and architect. He has constructed many brilliantly decorated cities. There are many wonderful houses, walls, gates, assembly houses, temples, yards, and temple compounds. The houses of the leaders of these planets are constructed with the most valuable jewels, and they are always crowded with living entities known as Nagas and Asuras, as well as many pigeons, parrots, and similar birds. All in all, these imitation heavenly cities are most beautifully situated and attractive decorated. Why I'm saying this? This comes, I think, in someone was asking what is the difference between Danavas and Rakshasas or Asuras. Here we can see the place where they live, the place where they live and what work what they do is mentioned here. This is though below the earth, but still being expert in magic power or mystic power. I think that's what is meant, comes later. Because of that, they are able to create such a wonderful things. And in fact, Maya Danava was asked, yeah, to construct so many in the higher planets. So definitely in his home planets, there would be definitely wonderful uh, creations. The parks and gardens in the artificial heaven surpasses in beauty those of the upper heavenly planets. The trees in those gardens, embraced by creepers, bend with heavy burden of twigs with flowers. That beauty could attract anyone, make his mind fully blossom in pleasure of sense gratification. It goes further, but I'm just quickly going through that. Since there is no sunshine in those subterranean planets, time is not divided into days and nights, and consequently, fear produced by time does not exist. Many great serpents reside there with gems on their hoods, and effulgence of these gems dissipates the darkness in all direction. Our understanding is what? That once the sunlight falls on a gem, that is the reason this gem is shining or yeah, mm, radiating. But this here we see that in these lokas, the gems themselves are self-radiating the light to dissipate the darkness. They live very auspiciously and do not fear death from anything but death's established time, which is the effulgence of Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord. What is happening is they're not afraid of anything. They don't even know, hey, okay, there is a death. Now we have this death. Yama is, we know that. But what happens is when the Sudarshan Chakra is coming to this place, then that is a sign of their end, their death. When Sudarshan Chakra enters those provinces, the pregnant wives of the demons all have miscarriage due to fear of its effulgence. My dear king, now I shall describe to you the lower planetary systems one by one, beginning from Atala. In Atala, there is a demon, the son of Maya Danava named Bala, who created 90. Where am I? 16. Okay. Bala, and he created 96 kinds of mystic powers, which some so called yogis and swamis used to cheat people. Even now, I think he wrote Shukadev Goswami is saying that there are people who have this mystic powers to cheat even today. I think he wrote somewhere in the translation itself. Yes, in the third line. Um, some so-called yogis and swamis take advantage of this mystic power to cheat people even today. Hmm. Simply by yawning, the demon Bala created three kinds of women. One is called Swairinis. They marry men from their own group. Then there is this Kaminis, marry men from any other groups. And then there is Pumchalis, uh, who Pumchalis, they change husbands one after another. Um, and then in this Atala, there is a lot of enjoyment by the women. When a man enters their houses, those women make him fit with Hataka and enjoy with him. So it is the place where women enjoy the men more. For that reason, they give a drink called Hataka or Hataka, and when they drink this, then they get more sense enjoyment power, and then the women enjoy this man. Anyway, there is whole description that intoxicant endows the man with great sexual prowess, of which the women take advantage for enjoyment. A woman will enchant him with attractive glance, intimate words, smiles, and then embraces. So there is a further description. Then what happens from Atala? The next planet below Atala is Vitala, wherein Lord Shiva, who is known as the master of gold mines, lives with his personal associates, the ghosts and similar living entities. And Lord Shiva progenites, the supreme progenitor, engages in with Bhavani, progenitress, to produce living entities, and from the mixture. So anyway, there is this gold, there is whole science of gold, and in the purport you can read how I have anyone seen this movie called. I'm not talking about Mechanist Gold. I'm talking about Vemana. Anyone saw this movie, Vemana? Vemana is a great devotee, but before becoming a great devotee, he was so much attracted to women to enjoy a prostitute. He was ready to mm, give anything and everything to this lady, a prostitute lady. So whatever he had, all the wealth, gold was is already gone. Then he had a friend Abhiram who was a goldsmith. And what he used to do is he used to do some experiments of mixing a metal with mercury, and through a special process, he could create gold. Yeah, and that's what is mentioned here. Anyway, I don't know. We shouldn't go to that detail. So the demons who live on that planet with their wives decorate themselves with all various ornaments made from that gold, and they thus they live there very happily. And below the Vitala is another planet known as Sutala. And from verse number 18 of this 24th chapter um, till 25, I think, or 23, there is a whole nice, very nice explanation about Bali Maharaj. Uh, Here, Shukadev Goswami is saying that in this Sutala planet, uh, it is a planet of Bali Maharaj. And in this context, this small pastime, what is in the eighth canto, is described here very nicely. How Bali Maharaj is protected and what did he do is mentioned in just this. From which verse did I say? Um, hmm, no, in this 18th, right? 19 to 23. Yeah, these four verses are very nice. And then, alas, how pitiable it is for, no, 24, and then 25, 26, 26, 27. It goes till 27. Below the planet known as Sutala is another planet called Talatala, which is ruled by Danava named Maya. Maya is known as Acharya of all the Mayavis, hmm, who can invoke the power of sorcery. For the benefit of three worlds, Lord Shiva, who is known as Tripurari, once set fire to the three kingdoms of Maya, but later being pleased with him, he returned his kingdom. Uh, in the purport, there is very brief description about this, but the point there is no, not for this. Since that time, Maya Danava has been protected by Lord Shiva, and therefore he falsely thinks that he did not fear the Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord. Hmm. Then below this Talatal is Mahatala. It is the abode of many hooded snakes who are always very angry. And actually, from 29 verse, we go to end of this chapter, which is 29 to, I'm just looking, 31. Is it? Yeah, 31. 29, 30, 31 are giving us who live in this Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patal, the last three. And basically, they are inhabited by snakes. It is the abode of many hooded snakes who are the descendants of Kadru, who are always very angry. The great snakes who are prominent are Kuhaka, Takshaka, Kaliya, and Sushena. The snakes in Mahatala are always disturbed by fear of Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu. But although they are full of anxiety, some of them nevertheless sport with their wives, children, friends, and relatives. In this, Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport that that is the nature of material world. Though we know that our life is in danger, just like the snakes are aware that Garuda can anytime come and attack, but still they could create their own house, I mean, or what do you call this, family, children, and enjoyment as prime goal. Beneath Mahatala is the planet called Rasatala, which is the abode of demonic sons of Diti and Danu. They are called Panis, Nivata Kavacha, Kaleyas, and Hiranya Puravasis, those living in Hiranyapura. They are all enemies of demigods and they reside in holes like snakes. From birth, they are extremely powerful and cruel, and although they are proud of their strength, they are always defeated by Sudarshana Chakra, of the Supreme Lord of Godhead, who rules all the planetary systems. When a female messenger from Indra named Sarama chants a particular curse, the serpentine demons of Mahatal become very afraid of Indra. Anyway, but have anyone heard these names called like Nivata Kavacha, Kaleyas? Recent time, these names were used in one of those, what is that famous movie? In Bahubali, if you have heard, yeah, in the part one, you come across in part two also, there are these uh, Mahishmati, and all these things are not something, they're actually picked up from different places or in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So this is what happens. Yeah, people are creating fantasy, fictitious movies, but they use these names, and I don't know whether it is glorifying these or only causes confusion. And yeah, yeah, or one who is making such movies is might be thinking, hey, these things are imaginary, so he can use that imaginary and make it more valuable. Then we come to the last, not today's last, in this 24th chapter. Beneath Rasatal is another planetary system called Patala, which is also called Nagaloka, where there are many demonic serpents. The master of Nagaloka, such as Shanka, Kulika, Mahashanka, Sweta, Dhananjaya, uh, Dhritarashtra, Shankachuda, Kambala, Ashwatara, and Devadatta. The chief among them is Vasuki. They are all extremely angry and they have many, many hoods. Some snakes have 5 hoods, some seven, some 10, others hundreds, and others 1,000. Those hoods are bedecked with valuable gems, and the light emanating from the gems illuminates the entire planetary system of the Bilsvarga. Okay, I don't know, I have covered, completed 1 hour. Who is interested to hear the glories of Lord Ananta? Shall we do it today? Of course, this is only 15 verses chapter, not big.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hmm? Yeah. Others, please. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then let's go. Then let's go because this is also very nice, and the reason for picking up we will know later when we go through this. So here we are talking about this, the glories of Lord Ananta, or Ananta Dev or Ananta Ishvara, is very special. Why? Because where does he live? And what does he do is what is mentioned here. Sri Sukha Uvacha Tasya Mula Deshe Trimshad Yojana Sahasrantara Aste Ya Vai Kala Bhagavatas Tamasi Samakhyatmananta Iti Satvatiya Drishtir Drishyayo Sankarshanam Aham Iti Abhimana Lakshanam Yam Shankarshanam Iti Achakshate. He says that I am, when a condition, what does the Lord do here is mentioned here. There are two classes of men akin to Mayavad philosophers who misinterpret the Aham Brahmasmi and Soham, Vedic mantra. We may have heard both of these, na? Aham Brahmasmi or Soham, yeah, Soham mantra to mean I am the Supreme Brahman and I am identical with the Lord. This is understanding. A school of thought thinks that Aham Brahmasmi means I am God. Uh, and because you can also say Aham Brahmasmi, so you are also God. So everyone who is saying Aham Brahmasmi means every being is God. This is one understanding. This kind of false conception in which one thinks himself the supreme enjoyer is a kind of illusion. Prabhupada writes, it is described elsewhere in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Janmasya moho yam aham mameti. Lord Sankarshan in this verse, as explained in the above verse, Lord Sankarshan is the predominating deity of this false conception. Because we want to live in a false conception so that we can um, the desire that we had to enjoy that can be there. So Sankarshana is the Lord who is predominating deity of this false conception. That's what it's mentioned in this first translation. When a conditioned living being thinks, I am the enjoyer and this world is meant to be enjoyed by me, this conception of life is dictated to him by Sankarshana. Oh, I didn't say who is Sankarshana. No? In the same translation, it said, he is the expansion of Lord Vishnu, known as Lord Ananta or Lord Sankarshana. Hmm? So, my dear king, approximately 240 miles beneath the planet Patala lives another incarnation of the Lord, and he is called Ananta. He is always in the transcendental position, but because he is worshipped by Lord Shiva, the deity of Tamoguna or darkness, he is sometimes called uh, Tamasi. The Lord Ananta is predominated deity of material mode of ignorance as well as the false ego of all conditioned souls. It goes further. Sarvasya chaham hridisannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. It is said. So the Lord is seated in everyone's heart. We know from Bhagavad Gita. And here we see the Lord is situated in everyone's heart as Sankarshana. And when a demon thinks himself one with the Supreme Lord, the Lord keeps him in that darkness. So the Lord as Paramatma inside our heart, who is he? Actually, Sankarshana. Although such a demonic living entity is only an insignificant part of the Supreme Lord, he forgets his true position and thinks he is the Supreme Lord. Because this forgetfulness is created by Sankarshana, he is sometimes called Tamasi. The name Tamasi does not indicate that he has a material body. He is always transcendental, but because he is the super soul of Lord Shiva, who must perform tamasic activities, Sankarshan is also called Tamasi. यस्येदं क्षितिमण्डलं भगवतो अनन्तमूर्तेः शिरसा एकस्मिन् एव शीर्षणि ध्रियमाणं सिद्धार्थ इव लक्ष्यते. Sukadeva Goswami is saying, this great universe situated on one of the Lord's Ananta's thousands of hoods appears just like a white mustard seed in the infinitesimal compared to the hood of Lord Ananta. So small. We are thinking this itself is so big. Rupa, in which chapter they say what is the size of the universe? It is 4, sorry, not 5. 4 followed by 9 zeros. What is that? 400
Four,
crore
400 crores.
crores. That is the size of one universe, and that size is just like a white mustard seed on the hood of the Ananta. Yasya ha va idam kale po kale nopa shanji hirshato marsha virachita ruchira brahmad bhruvur antarena sankarshano nama rudra ekadasa vyuhas tri trai trai akshas tri शिखम शूलम उत्तम भयन udit udatistan. At the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadev desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Then from between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra carrying a trident. This Rudra, who is known as Sankarshana, is the embodiment of the 11 Rudras or incarnations of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. So here in the purport Prabhupada is mentioning, in each creation, the living entities are given a chance to close their business as conditioned soul. When they misuse this opportunity and do not go back home, Lord Sankarshan becomes angry. The 11 Rudras, expansions of Lord Shiva, come out of Lord Sankarshana's eyebrow due to his angry mood, and all of them together devastate the entire creation. यस्यांग्रि कमल युगलारुण विशद नखमणि संध मंडलेश्व अहि पतयः सह सात्वतर्षभेर एकांत भक्ति योगेनावनमन्तः स्व वदनानि परिस्फुरत् Kundala Prabha Mandita Gandha Sthalani Ati Manoharani Pramudita Manasaha Khalu Vilokayanti. So the beauty of the Lord is saying, the pink transparent toenails of the Lord's lotus feet are exactly like valuable gems, polished to a mirror finish. They are so clear, it is that when the unalloyed devotees and the leaders of the snakes offer their obeisances to Lord Sankarshan with devotion, they become very joyful upon seeing their own beautiful faces reflected in his toes. So so this is what is mentioned. And then next is Lord Ananta's arms are attractively long, beautifully decorated with bangles and completely spiritual. They are white and so they appear like silver columns. When the beautiful princesses of serpent kings, hoping for Lord's auspicious blessings, smear his arms with aguru pulp, sandalwood pulp, kunkuma, the touch of his limbs awakens lust desires within them. Understanding their minds, the Lord looks at princesses with a smiling face and they become bashful. Then they smile beautifully and look upon the Lord's lotus face, which is beautified by reddish eyes rolling slightly from intoxication. There is in the purport Prabhupada is saying, when males and females touch each other's bodies, their lusty desires naturally awakens. It appears from this verse that there are similar sensations in spiritual bodies. Both Lord Ananta and the woman giving him pleasure have spiritual bodies. Thus, all sensations originally exist in the spiritual body. So, we may say, now, what is the difference between lust and love? We say love is the spiritual when attraction to the Lord, and lust is a material attraction towards a being. Here we are saying there is also spiritual lust. Uh, and why? Because lust in material world definitely should have something in the spiritual world. From there, everything manifests. So definitely should be original form in the spiritual world. And of course, the purpose of lust there is to please one another. Yeah, and this is what we see in the purest form is called love. And here in the purport, Prabhupada is saying, thus all the sensations originally exist in the spiritual body. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Janmadi Asya Yatha. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented in this connection that the word Adi means Adi Rasa, the original lusty feeling, which is born from the Supreme. I don't know if Adi Rasa Prabhu is here. I think in one context, also other context I have come across the same and have shared that. So it means that original in the spiritual world, the mellow, the original lusty feeling, which is born from the Supreme Lord. However, spiritual lust and material lust are completely different as gold and iron. Only one who is very highly elevated in spiritual realization can understand the lusty feelings exchanged between Radha and Krishna, or between Krishna and the damsels of Raja. Therefore, unless one is very experienced and advanced in spiritual realizations, he is forbidden to discuss the lusty feelings of Krishna and the gopis. Everyone with me? Yes? This is very important. Otherwise, we ourselves might think, hey, am I cheating that, hey, Radha and Krishna, they are enjoying in the groves? How can I say that is love? It looks for me a lust. But no, our level is not that we can understand that. So it's forbidden to discuss the lusty feelings of Krishna and the gopis. However, if one is a sincere and pure devotee, the material lust in his heart is completely vanquished as it discusses the lusty feelings between gopis and Krishna. And he makes quick progress in spiritual life. And now we want to know what is the mantra. Na? Sa eva Bhagavan Ananto Ananta Gunarnava Adideva Upasamhritam Rosha Vego Lokanam Swastaye Aste. Lord Sankarshana is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is called Anantadev. We may have heard this name also, Ananta. How is it coming? Because he has unlimited spiritual qualities. He is non different from the Supreme Lord. For the welfare of all living entities within this material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. Hmm. In the purport, again, Prabhupada is saying Anantadev's main mission is to dissolve this material creation, but he checks his anger and intolerance. He's just kind of, no, let the time come, let the time come. This material world is created to give the conditional souls another chance to go back to Godhead. Huh? But most of them do not take advantage of this, and that is the reason he becomes very angry. These activities of the conditioned souls anger Anantadev and his desires to destroy the entire material world. Yet, because he is the Supreme Lord, he is kind towards us and checks his anger and intolerance. Only at a certain times does he express his angers and destroy the material world. Hmm. ध्यायमानः सुरासुरो राग सिद्ध गंधर्व विद्याधर मुनि गणे अनवरत अनवरत मद मुदित विकृत विह्वल लोचन सुललित मुखरिकामृतेनाप्यायमानः स्व पार्षद विबुध यूथ पतीन अपरिम्लान राग नव तुलसी कामुद मध्व आसवेन माध्यन मधुकर व्रात मधुर गीत श्रियं वैजयन्तीं स्वां वनमालां नीलावास एक कुंडलो हल ककुडि कृत शुभग सुंदर भुजो भगवान महेंद्र वारणेन्द्र इव कांचनीं कंक्षाम कक्षाम उदार लीलो बिभर्ति. Oh, this is all glories of what is the appearance of this wonderful person. The demigods, the demons, the uragas, the siddhas, the gandharvas, vidyadharas, and many highly elevated sages constantly offer prayer to the Lord. Because he is intoxicated, the Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes, appearing like flowers in the full bloom, move to and fro. He pleases his personal associates, the heads of the demigods, by sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring, he holds a plough on his back with his two beautiful and well constructed hands. Appearing as white as heavenly King Indra, he wears a golden belt around his waist and a Vaijayanti garland of ever fresh tulsi blossoms around his neck. Bees intoxicated by the honey like fragrance of tulsi flowers hum very sweetly around the garland, which thus becomes more and more beautiful. In this way, the Lord enjoys his very magnanimous pastimes. In this way, if it is said, if persons who are very serious about being liberated uh, from the material life, they hear the glories of Anantadev from the mouth of a spiritual master in the disciplic succession, and if they always meditate upon Sankarshana, the Lord enters the core of their hearts. What does the Lord do? The Sankarshana, who is the Chaitya Guru, enters into the hearts because this person is very serious to have a Guru so that he can advance. The Lord Himself, as Sankarshana is entering, vanquishes all the dirty contamination of the material modes of nature, cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tied tightly. uh, So Narada Muni, the son of Brahma, always glorifies Ananta in his father's assembly. How is he doing? There he sings blissful verses of his own of composition, accompanied by his stringed instrument known as Tumburu. Hmm. In this, there is this explanation, yeah, about um, none of these descriptions of Ananta Dev are imaginary. They are all transcendentally blissful and full of actual knowledge. However, unless one hears them directly from a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession, one cannot understand them. This knowledge is delivered to Narada by Lord Brahma, and Narada, along with his companions, distribute it all over the universe. Sometimes the Lord is called Uttama Shloka, hmm, who is praised by beautiful poetry. Narada composes various poems to glorify Lord Ananta, and therefore the word uh, Shamshlokayam Asa is used here. So, in this way, one, uh, the contamination of heart of a conditioned soul is like a huge accumulation of garbage. This contamination becomes manifest in the form of lusty desires and greed. Uh, Unless one receives transcendental knowledge in reciprocal succession, there is no question of his becoming purified of his contamination. उत्पत्ति स्थिति लय हेतवोश्य कल्पया कल्पाः सत्वादा सत्वाद्या प्रकृति गुणयद ईक्षयासन् यन् रूपं ध्रुवम् अकृत यद एकम आत्मन नानाधात कथम ऊह वेद tasya vartma. It says, who? The Supreme Soul is unlimited and beginningless, and although He is one, He has manifested Himself in many forms. How can human society understand the ways of the Supreme? After reading all this, we may still think all these wonderful chapters, right? We have covered from chapter 17 or even all these things which are telling how is creation, everything, and then comes to the Lord. Uh, it is very difficult. How can human society understand the ways of the Supreme Lord? It's very difficult. So, Aikshata, uh, um, we learn that when Lord glances over the material world, the three modes become manifest and create material variety. How can we understand all these things? There is, this purport number 9 has more details. I'll not go into detail. But here we see Lord Ananta is Sabara Pujita Sri Ananta Mahashaya Sahasra Vadana Prabhu Bhakti Rasamaya. Lord Sri Ananta is worshipped by all the uncontaminated devotees mentioned above. He has thousands of foods and is the reservoir of all devotees. Adideva Mahayogi Ishvara Vaishnava Mahimara Anta Inha Na Janaye Saba. Lord Ananta is the original person and the great mystic controller. At the same time, he is the servant of the God, Vaishnava. Since there is no end to his glories, no one can understand him fully. Sevana Sunila Ebe Sunu Takurala Atmatantre Yena Mate Vaishena Patala. I have already spoken to you of his service to the Lord. Now hear how the self-sufficient Anantadev exists in the lower planet system of Patal. Sri Narada Gosani Tumburu Kari Sange Se Asa Gayena Brahma Sthane Shloka Bande. This is what we also came across in this chapter. Bearing his stringed instrument Tumburu on his shoulders, the great sage Narada Muni always glorifies Lord Anant. Narad Muni has composed many transcendental verses in praise of the Lord. Srishti Stitri Pralaya Sadvadi Yatakuna Guna Yanra Drishti Pate Haya Yaya Punah Punah. It says, simply due to the glance of Lord Anant, three material modes of nature interact and produce creation, maintenance, and annihilation. These modes of material nature appear again and again. Uh, Advitiya Rupa Satya Anadi Mahatva Mahatva Tathapi Anantahaya Ke Bhuje Se Sattva. Then, as I said, this whole purport is giving so much into understanding the greatness of Anantadev. Yeah. I'll just conclude with one. It is said, Gayen Ananta Shri Yashera Nahi Anta. There is no end of his glorification. Jaya Bhanga Nahi Karu Donhe Balavanta. He has still not come to their end. So, although he has been chanting the glories of Lord Krishna, hmm, since time immemorial, he has still not come to their end. Uh, Adhyapiha Sheshadeva Sahasra Srimukhe Gayena Chaitanya Yasha Anta Nahe Dekhe. To this very day, Lord Ananta continues to chant the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and still he finds no end to them. Hmm. So, in this way, there is this all glorification about Ananta Sesh, and this 11th verse. 11th verse is very important. Nan yan nama shrutam anukritayad sorry yad yan nama shrutam anukirtayed akshamad आर्तो वा यदि पतितः प्रलम्भनाद् वा हन्ति अमः सपदि नृणाम् अशेष अन्यं खं शेषाद् भगवत आश्रयेन मुमुक्षुः. He says, even if he is distressed or degraded, any person who chants the name, holy name of the Lord, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, is immediately purified. Even if he chants the Lord's name jokingly or by chance, he and anyone who hears him are freed from all sins. Therefore, how can anyone seeking in disentanglement from the material clutches avoid chanting the name of Lord Shesha? Of whom else should one take shelter? Hmm. So, because the Lord is unlimited, no one can estimate his power. This entire universe, filled with its many great mountains, rivers, trees, etc., is resting like an atom on one of his many thousands of foot. Is there anyone, even with thousands of tongues, can describe his glories? No, it's not possible. Hmm. एवं प्रभाव भगवान अनंतो दुरंत वीर्योरु गुणानुभावा मूले रसाय स्थित आत्मतंत्रो यो लीलया क्षाम स्थितये बिभर्ति. He says there is no end to the great and glorious qualities of that powerful Lord Ananta. Indeed, his prowess is unlimited. Though self sufficient, he himself is a support of everything. He resides beneath the lower planetary systems and easily sustains the entire universe. Eta hi eva. Now he's concluding saying, the conclusion is एता हि एवः नृभिर् उपगन्तव्या गतयो यथा कर्म विनिर्मिता यतोपदेशम् अनुवर्णिता कामान् कामयामानैः. He's saying, as I heard of it from my spiritual master, I have fully described to you the creation of this material world, according to the fruitive activities and desired of the condition. Those conditioned souls who are full of material desires achieve various situations in different planetary systems, and in this way they live within this material creation. So, uh, what he is saying is, my dear king, I have thus described how people generally act according to their different desires, and as a result get different types of bodies in higher or lower planets. You inquired of these things from me, and I have explained to you whatever I have heard from authorities. And in conclusion, he's saying, what shall I speak of now? He puts the question there, and then um, we go through. Parikshit Maharaj is asking, can you describe about hell? Hmm? We have covered that hell topic in Bhagavad Sapta in December 24, right? Um, and there it goes further that he wants to know about the power of holy name. Then Ajamil pastime comes. So in that way, if you all accept with this small glimpse of what we have covered today, we can enter into the sixth canto. Yeah, thank you very much for your time, patience. I don't know. I'm very sure if you would have done self-reading, you can understand far better than just hearing to me. But yeah, thanks for encouraging with your presence. Hare Krishna. I'm very sure there might be so many questions, so many questions. Uh, Definitely, we can write another Bhagavatam with so many questions. But as I said, this is not my field of interest, yeah, or rather than interest or uh, field where I am an expert in. So yeah, feel free to explore uh, and gain more understanding. But in these chapters also we can see the importance. Bhagavatam is not about just to tell uh, about the whole creation, how it is independent from the Lord, but we can see how whole creation is completely dependent in Lord. And this last chapter 25 is telling about the glories of Lord Anantadev, how he is holding everything and what is yeah, his features. Okay. Anyone want to share any thoughts? As usual. Surya Tej Prabhu, how was it? I don't know if you still managed to stay.
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm still here.
Huh.
Yeah, it is very nice explanation, Prabhuji. So even if I, at least for myself, even if I read myself, I would not have got so many insights.
Mm.
Yeah, very nicely explained.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very sure that you will get more insights because there is a lot of purpose which I have not touched, and when you read, you'll definitely know more in a more systematic way. But I think to cover this whole terrain of all, right from top to bottom of the universe in a one session, yeah, maybe for a what do you call this primary school, primary classes, it's fine.
Yeah. But it was a nice explanation. We got a small gist of what's there, and then
Mm.
I think whoever is interested, we can delve deep into it.
Yeah. So that is
Yeah.
also my purpose of going through all those chapters which you didn't read is mainly that we should know what is still there, right? That is
Yeah.
the main attempt where I was going through those to say, okay, in which chapter what is there, just like a synopsis of the chapter summary, so that we, whoever is eager to know what is the movement of sun, moon, stars, and all zodiacs, are they really there? Are this just imagination of constellations? All these things, those are in fact real, which we can take from Bhagavatam.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. And others, before we close the call, Pratik Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It was definitely very much too much knowledge. I had no idea of so much things. Um, I will definitely look into the Radhakant Prabhuji you have said.
I
Can you
think his
give?
name is Radhakant. I can also, yeah, I know about that Prabhu who, so I'll just check his name and post it in our group. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I was looking, but I didn't find ISKCON Attapur, but it was many. I didn't find
Yeah,
one person. Yeah,
I will definitely check and share it.
yes, Prabhuji. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
There are many questions, of course, but I think I should see more onto it. Then,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you,
Mm.
Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Anyone else want to share? How was it?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Is it Madhuri Mataji or?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hmm. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Today's lecture was very informative and very like something I came to know
Hmm.
very new information. And listening this new information and it's not just learning, but it is also like kind of a motivating, more to be on this path.
Hmm.
So I'm very blessed to hear this, and I'll just say a few points, whatever I have learned
Mm-hmm.
out of so many. One thing that, yes, it's better to live in the mother's womb than, living somewhere where there is no Harinam or there is nothing of God,
Hmm.
So this one is very true to humankind, and I hope the same for all of us, uh, if even if we have to take more lives, this thing should be there, like the God name with us and you
Mm-hmm.
know with all of us. And the new, very much new concept that I learned is the Bhumandal map.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know that if I want to thoroughly know, I do have to go the references that you have provided. I think one day I will definitely go. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, this much knowledge is enough for me to know,
Mm-hmm.
about this creation by gods. I find it very, very beautiful, and it's much more beyond thinking, Like, I feel that it will be more beautiful when we get a chance to read more and all these about these creatures. And lastly, about Anantadev, I was not knowing too much about it, but today we come to know through this lecture. So I'm feeling very blessed to know that he's the God of the creation and he also known to be destroying
Mm.
for us. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very blessed to hear from you.
Mm. Yeah, thank you very much, Mataji. You're back to Germany or?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay,
In few weeks for sure.
okay. Hope Prabhu is doing fine.
Yes, Prabhuji, he's doing very good now.
Very good.
Yes.
Home breathe. Nice.
Yes.
Okay, then we'll close the call here. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Sindhu
Eh,
Mataji.
Yes, right. The class is very interesting, Prabhuji. That, like, I was remembering my childhood. Like, I was not so fan of social. I was thinking that if I were introduced this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam when I was younger, I would have know more about the solar system and like the universe. And yeah, it's very interesting for me, Prabhuji. Now, yeah, I like feeling to read more about this.
Yeah, only thing is in school days, na, those concepts are different, so we cannot pass the exam on the strength of Bhagavatam because the scientific way of seeing things are not in line somewhere because we are trial and error. Yeah, our pramanas are um, not the right way. Yeah, rather than having Shabda Praman, um, we have sorted out Anuman Praman, Pratyaksha Praman. That's why the science is still finding and proving and disproving so many things. But yeah, you're right. This subject should be for kids. Yeah, for me, I can't understand this even if I read 10 times, 100 times. But kids' brain are so sharp, mind is very, very receptive. Whatever we have just read now, these concepts and understanding should be presented in a very early stages to the kids. And in fact, now you may have heard this Vedic planetarium that is in Mayapur. Yeah, the whole construction inside is based on these how are different planets in which way are there, and the whole temple is also constructed such a way that we can when we are going into the temple. I mean, I didn't go. Parth Prabhu can tell more. It is designed such a way that we appreciate the planets, its position, its relevance, and how everything is connected. Everything is uh, it's based on that, so that even if our education system is not going to change, but if we enter Mayapur TOVP, then we start appreciating all these things. I don't know, when I was kid, I went to a place called Chak Padma View or Chakra View. I don't know what is it called. Or anyone have come across that? There is a building where you enter into and come out. It's like Jantar Mantar, not Jantar Mantar, but something like that.
Is it in Gangapur, Prabhuji?
What?
Gangapur, there is a this
What is it
Patna.
called? What is
In
it called?
it's,
Where you
yeah,
enter into that and then
yeah,
it's like a
we mm
hmm,
Padma Vyuha something. Yeah,
yeah, like that.
yes, we don't know where is the entry and where is the exit, so it's like
Yeah, and then
yeah.
when you enter, then you start seeing different places, different rooms for different gods and all these things. So it's a construction to help us that it's funny to go in and get stuck, but at the same time you get chance to see all these things. So yeah, TOVP is a very nice project that Prabhupada wanted to give the world a gift of the real understanding of all this creation in a very nice 3D depictable form. Thanks, Indhu Mataji, for sharing this. It reminds me of the importance of TOVP.
Hare Krishna
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. I just wanted to share something about what you mentioned in TOBP. In my recent visit, I also realized that what you said, the children are very curious because they are studying, and they have a very uh, um, I mean, they can attract all this knowledge very easily. And I
Mm.
was saying there is a
they have already built a very good model of these 14 lokas, and these lokas are revolving, and the Mount Meru is also there. I saw there are 2 3 children who were very intensely looking and watching, and like everything, and they're really trying to understand. In also there are like thousands of people gathering to watch or to listen to this Maharaj's lecture, but those kids are very much into those model. They are watching all these models, and they're understanding the things. So it is very correct that the children have very keen on this.
Yeah.
And
And we can give classes, right? So as I was mentioning, we can have a TV there which is showing all the YouTube videos of research work that the scholars have done, yeah, based on Bhagavatam. And or they can be having a Q&A places where students of all ages can come, and there will be experts who can tell all this in a very nice, authentic way. Then people will appreciate that, okay, Vedic education is perfect. And of course, um, there are flaws in whatever we are learning from our childhood, and we think this is everything. Yeah.
yes, Roji. And one more realization I can share about this particular canto, fifth canto, as it is describing all the creation and the very minute technicalities of the creation, which is very difficult to remember all the time until I'm not, I mean, diving deep into it.
Nice. Mm.
So the people who are, because bhakti is very advanced stage, and bhakti is very subtle, so there are very less people who can elevate into bhakti. Like just like me, I'm never ever close into bhakti, but as I can realize, I have some interest on this cosmology thing, so at least I can realize that how infinite, how unlimited, how big is God.
Mm.
And from that perspective, I can draw a line that, yeah, if God is that big, that infinite, that unlimited, then why should not we surrender to
Correct.
Him?
Yeah. Yeah. Very true, because here we can see it's not that there is everything there and then God is introduced into all these things. It is that Lord is there already and everything is coming from Him. So that makes us to see that, because science usually appreciates all the variety, variegatedness, and all its complexity, but remove the God from the equation, from the whole understanding. But as you said, when we see that, hey, everything, how other planetary systems, super intelligent people are worshipping the Lord, right? We are not talking
Yes.
about human, we are talking about great people who are worshipping the Lord in different varshas and with great prayers. Why will they do such prayers? Huh? They have a sense of gratitude, they have a sense of, respect. That's why they worship the Lord. Hmm? Because we lost it, we don't have respect to the Lord, because we don't have the sense of minimum, what do you call this, minimum courtesy to offer our prayers to the Lord who has created everything, who is maintaining everything. That's why, yeah, we are in a hopeless situation. And as you said, the solution for that is to become devotional. And for that matter, anything can help. If one has great passion to know the creation, and if he understands that the cause of all this is the Lord, maybe he can pick it from there. If someone has great passion to gyan, yeah, that's what we see here, or dhyan. So whatever, if ultimately it is bringing us to appreciate that Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. When one understands everything is Vasudev, such people are rare, but it's not that there is no people. It's not that on Bharatavarsha it's not possible. No, in Bharatavarsha it's very much possible if we are sincere students and accept a spiritual master bona fide in the bona fide disciplic succession. Yeah, thanks, Parth Prabhu. I mean,
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah,
nice realization.
thank you.
Oh, maybe last time asking any last person who would like to say. At last, we have come to the last. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Grandharaj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.